Hey everyone, welcome to Trader Jake's channel. Got a few names going into tomorrow that I wanted to cover. First one is going to be Google. Google, I mentioned in yesterday's video that I wanted to see it gap and hold around this 178 area, or else it had a higher probability of getting a gap too high and finding exhaustion, especially into this gap fill. This is not something that you want to be caught on the wrong side of when something like this happens, as it was a quick pop and fade off of the open. It gapped too high above the 178 and ended up being a nice short for the rest of the day. I was able to catch this for a short off of the open, and that was basically the only trade that I took today because I didn't see anything else that looked really good. But going into tomorrow with this weakness that we're seeing in Meta and Microsoft and some of these other names that had reported after hours, I'm thinking that we might get a day two of weakness unless majority of that range happens overnight in ES and NQ. So what I'm essentially looking at on Google for tomorrow is preferably a gap up inside of this range, closer to this 176 area, and then a reject from there for a continuation down into 172, 171 area, if not down to this entire gap fill. This has enough weakness to where this could potentially get back that entire gap over the course of the next 2 days if the market is going to be weak. The next name is going to be an intraday setup I'm looking at, and this is probably my favorite trade for tomorrow that's setting up, and mainly the only one that I'm looking at now until we see where things open in the morning. But what I'm looking for on Meta is open below this 576 area, which will be this blue line that you see right here. I'm looking for a push up into that level, maybe a move above it that fails to get above 576, 578. From there, we can see weakness develop a trend to the downside beneath that level. And then I'm looking for a retest of this 564, 560.75, and then even potential down to this 556.65. This could be a pretty big trade, especially if you're trading options into the end of the week, as a lot of these premiums for Meta were pretty juiced up going into earnings because the move basically did not happen to the upside and it's gapping down instead. So once all of those options are going to get flushed out, this could be a very good trade, especially if it follows the thesis of exactly what I'm looking for, which would be that open, preferably at or under 576. The closer to that level, the same way with Google from yesterday, the higher probability that this is going to play out in the exact fashion that I'm looking for. We also have this gap fill down here that is going to be something that I am going to be mindful of because we might just try to push down from this 576 into around this 572 area and then find a little bit of support per se once we get into that gap fill and then find some exhaustion to the downside there before it just tries to regain some of this move back up. I still do like Meta in the long run for more upside. Still don't think this name is anywhere near done. The overall market dynamics right now until Apple and Amazon report later in the week. This could be needing just a cool down. Do not miss the move that is coming to the upside into the end of the year. Granted that the whole market is going to stay resilient as it has been. The last trade that I'm looking at, and this one is probably my second favorite, and this is just SPY. I'm looking at this. This is the 78-minute chart, and then this is the daily chart over here to the right. We are still inside week, so there is potential that tomorrow amounts to be basically just a data collection day where we get a lot of nonsense, where we try to go down, we try to go up, essentially just don't really get any footing in either direction. But what I'm looking at is either a open below this 578, preferably as close to it as possible, or below it, get a push back up off of the open, and then get continuation down from there and offering some kind of trend in which we can get in for that downside move and potentially test this 575.50 into last week's lows. I'm going to switch over to the weekly chart over here on the right side, and we are in the middle of this huge bar from last week. So if this move does not play out the exact way that I'm looking at, I am not really that interested in touching the indices because this could amount to being just a premium killer with options, which is what I'm looking to trade it with. If this holds this 578, then we more than likely just trade back into this gap fill to the upside and maybe try to counter today's high a day. This is going to be a very big premium killer until the next leg up in the market comes. So I would just be very cautious going into the rest of the week if none of these moves end up playing out the proper way, because that to me implies unclean price action. And for me, I am a momentum trader. I'm not very interested in just trading tight ranges. And until the next leg up comes in the market, which is more than likely to the upside, unless we're going to come down and retest this all-time high breakout on SPY down to 565, that could be a pretty good short coming into the first week of November. But I guess we'll see what Amazon and Apple does come Friday. That's what I got for you for today. See you guys in the next video.